Ok, ok. Bueno, pues estamos en un podcast sobre la importancia de los factores humanos en una industria aeronáutica automatizada. Aquí vamos a hablar sobre cómo ha influido en la industria, cómo ha cambiado a lo largo del tiempo. Y aquí tenemos a Alejandro que nos acompaña también para hacer unas preguntas sobre unos ámbitos más específicos de esta área.
So of course, I mean, as you know, this is a growing industry, one that's evolving quite rapidly, and so I think it's important to to clarify a couple things, which is what I'll be here doing. So I think without any further interruptions, I'm going to start hitting you with those questions. Now, I think a good question to start off with is something very basic, which is how do you think the rise of automation in this industry has how has that rise changed what humans do in this industry? As in now, so many things have been taken over by machines. What do the people do?
Ok, pues primero sabemos que el rol humano en esto ha cambiado demasiado, ya que antes los humanos literalmente eran operadores directos de las máquinas o del sí, pero ahora literalmente sus tareas ya se volvieron a gestores o supervisores de un sistema complejo. Antes realizaban muchas cosas manualmente, pero ahora solo las supervisan y también interpretan datos, lo cual te ayuda a tomar una mejor toma de decisiones al momento y evitar fallas o cualquier accidente que pueda haber.
Okay, I see. Now, I've heard in general from all sorts of industries, not just this one, that automation in general, it kind of puts less emphasis on the human, right? Because again, as I said before, the machines do everything now. So, what do you think about that assumption? Is it true? Is it misleading?
Pues primero hay que tener en cuenta que todo esto no elimina el factor humano, sino solo lo cambia, cambia su naturaleza. Aquí podemos ver que los humanos pasan de tareas manuales a funciones estratégicas, también una gestión y la toma de decisiones, que es un poco más decisivo para la seguridad.
Okay, okay, very well. Um, Now I know, as I just said, that this is a maybe not a problem, but it's a phenomenon that's been affecting many different fields. What sets aviation apart from other industries that have also gone through this sort of change in automation? What makes aeronautics so different?
Ok, pues primero hay que saber que directamente la interacción humana con estos sistemas complejos es en tiempo real. Por ejemplo, tenemos el ejemplo de los que controlan la aeronave, los que tienen en la torre de control, que a diferencia de otras industrias, aquí un fallo puede tener consecuencias horribles, graves e inmediatas, por lo que la automatización debe coexistir con una supervisión humana que esté atenta.
Okay, oh, yeah, I see. Now this sort of emphasis on safety, it's something that I'm sure is a part of other industries as well, because like I'm sure in like, for example, the automotive industry, right, they still need to have rules and regulations, especially when it comes to automation, to ensure that there's safety. What unique aspects are there when it comes to safety in this industry, as in what do we do specifically when it comes to automation to try and make our sector safer?
Bueno, pues aquí de los riesgos literalmente es como al momento. Por eso es que se tiene que crear un vínculo indispensable entre la tecnología y los factores humanos, que obviamente no existe en otros de los sectores, y también debe ser mínimamente la probabilidad de riesgos que haya.
I see. Now, circling back to another topic that you said prior, you mentioned that the human element in aviation in this industry, it's still there, but it's changed in a manner. Is in what sorts of ways have has the human role changed? As in, what's so different now compared to 20, 30, even further back?
Ok, pues diferencia literalmente sería que las tareas manuales pues fueron sustituidas por funciones de mayor nivel, como dije, la gestión, la supervisión, la resolución de problemas y la toma de decisiones.
I see. Now you mentioned craftsmanship, like as in back before all of this was automated. There used to be workshops filled with people making by hand parts of aircraft. Right? How is the change from those days, from when people were making planes physically, to a sort of jump in skill, as you maybe not skill, but because in what people do, as you've said, how was the jump from manual labor to management? How has that affected the culture of this industry?
Ok, pues primariamente cambió la cultura que estaba basada pues, en una coordinación de sistemas, en análisis de datos y plagiación. Ahora la operación depende cada vez de los protocolos que existen en las empresas, la comunicación y el liderazgo, que es importante, más que una habilidad manual individual.
Okay, I see. What kinds of like expertise is wanted in this sector now? Because, like again, as we've stated, the human role has become more about management than it has actual physical work. What kinds of expertise are now wanted in this sector?
Bueno, pues lo que se necesita ahorita sería el juicio, la interpretación y obviamente la supervisión humana, que puede garantizar la seguridad, porque la automatización crea nuevos tipos de errores y vulnerabilidades que requieren de estos.
See, these sorts of mistakes that are now that weren't possible before automation was a thing, but now are something that has become a recent phenomenon. What can a person do in this industry? Isn't like what can an expert do to avoid these sorts of novel mistakes from occurring?
Ok, pues lo que necesitamos sería la conciencia situacional, la toma de decisiones, el liderazgo, la gestión de sistemas y obviamente el trabajo de equipo, pero bajo presión para poder tener todo esto en cuenta.
I see. Now, when it comes to sort of education about this topic, not just like very basic elements, but all the way from those basic elements to more advanced fields, like whether it's aerospace engineering or education for pilots, how has automation affected that? Like, as in how we teach the people who work in this field?
Bueno, pues aquí la forma en la que hemos cambiado la forma de enseñarlo es que literalmente dependen vidas de todo este proceso, ya que ahorita mismo cualquier decisión que tomes va a tener una consecuencia, ya sea buena o mala. Por eso se ha intentado educar de la forma más, bueno, moralmente correcta, para evitar cualquier tipo de toma de decisión bajo presión que no sea correcta o que sea la mejor para cualquier accidente que haya.
Okay, I see. Now, another thing that I've heard thrown around in when it comes to safety in this field is the idea of human factors, right? Is that even though, as we've stated before, automation has kind of taken over a lot, the role of the human has become more important. A main sort of, or the poster child, I guess, of human factors would be the famous sort of pilot error, you know, where you hear that a plane crashed because of pilot error, right? What does that actually mean, right? Like, because that's a very vague term. What is pilot error? Is it a good explanation of how accidents happen? Like, can you clarify that for me, please?
Bueno, pues ese término de error de piloto sería como reducir un incidente al complejo de una falla individual, o sea, ignorando la interacción entre factores humanos, el diseño del sistema, los procedimientos y la cultura organizacional.
I see. Now, another aspect of human factors that I think is also important to mention is that obviously the fact that humans are still in this industry means that they still have their role and their strengths in this field. how does sort of the idea of human factors, how do we integrate the things that humans are good at, their strengths, into the systems we design?
Ok, pues como dijiste, fue creando sistemas, los procedimientos que obviamente potencian la memoria, la atención y la toma de decisiones humanas y que obviamente compensan las limitaciones cognitivas y fisiológicas que pueden llegar a tener.
I see. Are there any other kinds of human factors that may not be super obvious? Because I mean, the sort of super flashy one is the one that we've stated prior, right? The pilot error is the one you hear on all of the crash investigation shows. No, that like that's all that happens. But I'm sure there are other sorts of the human factors, right? Can you elaborate a bit further on some of these other categories, if there are any?
Ok, sí, hay más, son tres, son los factores cognitivos, los factores fisiológicos y los factores psicosociales. Estos están relacionados porque literalmente afectan al mismo tiempo la percepción humana, cómo actúan y su interacción con el sistema que están controlando.
Okay. So from what I've understood, right, is that these factors they kind of affect how aware you are in a situation, right? And I'm sure you know that matters a lot in like a cockpit, right? Where yeah, I mean it's understandable how that would be a high stress environment, right? But in other sorts of areas, not just necessarily in the cockpit, how is situational awareness important, like in other sorts of areas in aviation, where I'm sure there's also a lot of other automation? Like, what makes situational awareness there so critical?
Bueno, pues aquí lo crítico sería la seguridad, obviamente, que tenemos que mantenerla, estar completamente enfocado, no distraerse y pues, como dicen algunos, mantener la cabeza fría, por lo que vimos de las relaciones de los factores anteriores.
All right, I see. Now, a psychological risk I've heard in this industry, because I remember hearing a while ago uh, something about a pilot and how a crash was caused by the guy. I think he was very fatigued, right? And I'd imagine it's something similar to like why you shouldn't, you know, drive a car tired. But even then, can you elaborate a bit more on what effects fatigue has physiologically?
Ok, pues esto aquí lo describimos como una disminución en la capacidad de la atención, obviamente la velocidad de reacción que tiene y la toma de decisiones, que es lo más crucial. Esto aumenta literalmente la probabilidad de error en un 80-70%, ya que todo es como si bajaras la guardia, como si te sorprendieran.
Okay, I see. There's some other sort of physiological conditions that might not be fatigue, but other things like sort of stress and other health conditions that a pilot or even maintenance crew may have. How do these conditions? How can they contribute to errors in this industry? Maybe directly, maybe industry. Could you? Pardon. Maybe directly, maybe indirectly. Can you explain that for me, please?
Ok, pues como mencionaste, el estrés es algo que afecta mucho también a las condiciones de salud. Esto lo que hace es que pues aumenta la fatiga, disminuye tu atención y obviamente reduce tu capacidad del juicio y la respuesta rápida, que es lo que más importa.
Okay, I see. What kind of, as in, what role does communication have here? Because I'm sure that like you can't really do that so well when you're stressed or when you're tired or when you have some other condition that's affecting you. Right? Because I'm sure working together with your colleagues, whether you're a pilot or whether you're a maintenance engineer, I'm sure it's important. Right? So what kind of role does communicating and what role does teamwork play in kind of reducing the limitations that a human may have in this industry?
Ok, pues primero es como lo más crucial, porque si tú como ser estás fatigado, no estás consciente del todo, puedes llegar a tener errores, es literalmente el trabajo en equipo es lo que salva eso. Puedes decirle a tu compañero que no puedes o cómo te sientes para que esa persona te ayude al momento de cualquier situación o de cualquier revisión. para hacerlo juntos y que no sea tu cuerpo, o sea, literalmente compartirlo y tener una información más ordenada y una coordinación.
I see. Now, circling back again, a while, I think like 10 questions back or so, I heard something about organizational culture, right? About how there's a sort of, there's a culture in this, in all industries, I'm sure, but there's a specific one here, right, that you mentioned being related to safety, right? How is the culture in this industry, how can it enhance or maybe even reduce the limitations we have as people?
Ok, pues aquí la que tenemos sería la cultura de seguridad, que fomenta la comunicación entre las personas, obviamente el aprendizaje de errores y los procedimientos claros. Esto aquí es importante porque también tenemos una cultura cerrada o punitiva, creo que no recuerdo, que puede ocultar problemas y aumentar los riesgos.
Sí. No. I'm obviously very interested in this field, right? It's the reason why I'm here. And when I hear in general about aviation safety or whatever, right? I hear the word redundancy, right? That comes up all the time, right? In how a lot of systems in aircraft are designed that way, right? Can you explain how those sorts of mechanisms of detecting errors and those sorts of those systems that are built for redundancy, what does that mean? How does that sort of fit into the safety of modern aviation?
Ok, pues esto es literalmente mediante capas de múltiples controladores. También es como un modelo del queso suizo, donde cada capa detecta fallos y los corrige antes de que se conviertan en accidentes. Es como irlo diluyendo para que al final no pase nada.
Now, I feel like automation, right? It's something obviously that's marked marked this industry pattern very significantly, right? And sometimes, okay, not so much anymore. I feel like it was more of a talking point way back when automation kind of was initially becoming a thing. And honestly, I kind of hear it nowadays with AI, right? Because it's a new thing that's it's scary, right? And even though I'm sure there's a lot of good that comes from it, like, I mean, look at the amount of good it's done to this industry, right? I'm sure there are also some vulnerabilities that have been created or made or amplified by the introduction of automation as a whole, right? And so, I mean, I hear sometimes that automation, by removing the human element, there is no way that it can mess up, right? Because, like, I mean, you hear a lot about human errors. So the best solution is to just get rid of the person so there's no more mistakes. What do you think of that sort of mindset? Do you think that's accurate? Do you think automation does eliminate human error entirely?
Bueno, pues aquí, como tú dijiste, hay varias opiniones. Lo que aquí se maneja es que los humanos siguen siendo responsables de supervisar y gestionar los temas complejos porque la automatización cambia la naturaleza de los errores y también puede desplazar los errores de ejecución manual hacia los errores de supervisión y la interpretación de los sistemas.
Okay, let's see. It changes the errors that happen. Like what new errors now exist because of automation? Like what's changed when it comes to the type of errors that happen in this industry now?
Bueno, pues aquí los errores que se vienen literalmente pueden ser la falta de atención, que al momento que esté supervisando una máquina no cumpla con su procedimiento y tú por no poner atención generes un accidente o generes una reacción en cadena o del dominó, como se le conoce, que eso va escalando a un problema mayor que puede afectar desde una aeronave hasta cualquier situación.
See, this sort of lack of attention, as you called it, like this sort of degrading of the senses, I suppose. How does it affect the people who work in this industry, right? Like, as in pilots, maintenance technicians, everyone. Like, what other ways are there for you to stop kind of paying attention? Because like I get what that means, but it's a bit vague. Like, what really causes these sorts of mistakes to happen? You know, in all kinds of places in the industry.
Bueno, pues aquí lo que entra serían los factores humanos,
Mm.
porque los humanos cometemos errores, pero también en esta industria son cruciales. Por eso es literalmente estar trabajando en equipo para que no pase esto, y si una persona falla, pues otra que literalmente lo reaccione al momento de que esto pase. Y lo que sería reducir es enfocarse, o sea, no dejar que otras cosas te afecten o que otras áreas estén presentes en unos momentos que no son oportunos.
I see. Now, again, I remember doing some digging around for not just the writing, but for this as well. And I heard a term come up, right, in automated systems in general. Like, this isn't just unique to aviation, but again, a lot of the things, from what I'm understanding, a lot of the things aren't sort of unique. Like, these problems in automation exist everywhere, right? But I think they matter, especially in this industry, because of just how just how important the safety is here, right? Like, I think in other industries they can kind of afford to mess up a bit more, but here there's no room for error, right? And one of the terms that I heard come up, especially in automation, right, is the term mode confusion, right? Which is a bit, I don't know. I remember seeing that and thinking, "What the hell does this mean?" Right? Can you explain how mode confusion is a problem in systems that are super automated and super automized?
Ok, sí, pues la confusión de modos ocurre cuando el operador no entiende correctamente cómo funciona un sistema. Y esto es un problema grave, ya que puede provocar respuestas incorrectas y obviamente los riesgos críticos.
Okay. Is there any way to sort of reduce this happening? Because, like, I mean, that sounds pretty awful, because, again, I initially, going into this, I held the opinion that getting rid of the person is better, right? Because, like, I mean, the person can mess up, right? But now, from what you're telling me, it isn't that way, right? And so, is there any way that we can actually mitigate or, like, reduce the likelihood of mode confusion occurring?
Sí, podría existir, y sería haciendo los sistemas más transparentes o intuitivos, con obviamente indicadores claros que pues, sean fáciles de entender, y obviamente al momento de ser operados por un humano.
Okay. I remember hearing as well that sort of, I remember hearing more rumors than anything that this sort of automation, right, can kind of make people lazy, like, as in that, who cares, the machine does it, who cares, right? It's not my deal, right? Does that happen? How does this happen, right? What makes this occur?
Ok, pues sí, lo que pasa es como un claro ejemplo de ChatGPT, lo cual literalmente te hace tus tareas, te hace flojo, y lo que hace es reducir tu participación activa, lo cual en esta industria hace que los operadores se confíen excesivamente en la tecnología, que confíen demasiado, y eso hace que bajen la guardia o disminuyan su supervisión activa.
I assume that goes back into sort of the situational awareness topic that we were speaking about earlier, how this sort of complacency can make that worse, no? I see. Now, while investigating for this topic, I heard of I found an example of a plane crash that was caused by automation sort of being mismanaged. I think it was Asiana Airlines flight 214. Can you sort of illuminate what happened here? How, what some of the dangers might be from automation being mismanaged?
Ok, sí, pues sí, en el accidente del vuelo 214, los pilotos dependieron demasiado de la automatización de los sistemas, malinterpretaron el modo operativo y perdieron la conciencia situacional. Esto obviamente provocó el descenso incorrecto y el accidente que ocurrió. Aquí es como lo que dijimos, que puede llegar a un punto en el que te confíes demasiado o no entiendas lo que estás controlando, y eso te desconcerte y no tomes las decisiones correctas, es lo que causa el accidente.
Okay. See, now, what were the sort of like what were the lessons learned here? Because I'm sure in after every plane crash, or from what I've heard, after like every plane crash, something new is learned, right? Because like I mean, in this industry, plane crashes are very rare, right? Because of just how like they're good at what they do. These people, like they're very good at preventing accidents from happening. But again, as we're speaking about here, nobody's perfect, right? No machine is perfect, no pilot is perfect, right? But we can try, right? And the best ways we try is by seeing where we mess up, right? And so, for example, in an incident like this, what lessons did the industry as a whole learn from this accident regarding, you know, how people can oversee what automated systems do?
Okay, pues lo que se dieron cuenta es que la formación de los controladores debe incluir escenarios o situaciones donde falle la automatización, donde ellos tengan que vivirlo para saber cómo reaccionar y enfatizar la vigilancia y la comprensión del sistema, que aquí fue por parte de los pilotos.
Okay, I see. Now, we've spoken a lot about how automation can fail, right? Is there any sort of way that we can use automation, or we can automate things to help improve safety and how, you know, people manage things in this industry?
Okay, sí, la forma en la que lo podemos mejorar sería mediante mejorar las interfaces o hacerlas más claras. También hacer retroalimentaciones continuas para que vayan diciendo si tienen alguna duda o si tienen algún fallo, y hacer que, bueno, la formación permite entender los sistemas en todos sus modos, ya sea operando correctamente o durante los accidentes.
See, now we've been speaking a lot about pilots in the cockpit, which I mean is sort of the when you think of aviation, that's what you think of, right? Like, I mean, you think of the guy in the cockpit flying the plane, right? But I mean, realistically, behind the four pilots in a cockpit, right? There's probably hundreds of other people behind him who have to manage the aircraft, who have to help him fly it, who have to test things. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people who go into it, right? And they're still part of the industry, right? Like, they help fly the planes, right? Maybe they're not literally in the cockpit doing the flying, right? But without them, there would be no planes flying, right? And so I'm sure there's other sort of human factors that are part of this industry, right? And I feel like one that is affected, or that I've heard being affected the most, is air traffic controllers, right? Because their job, frankly, it's looked very stressful. I'm going to be honest with you. The few times I've seen or I've heard air traffic control communication, it sounds rough. I can't lie, right? So how has automation sort of changed what these guys do? How has it changed their responsibilities?
Bueno, pues aquí el cambio fue de controlarlo manualmente, pues obviamente gestionar el tráfico a grandes volúmenes de datos y obviamente supervisar los sistemas automatizados.
Okay. I see. These sorts of large data sets that they now look over, I'd imagine that it comes with a sort of different kind of stress, you know? Like what new demands, what new psychological demands do these controllers face managing these kinds of systems?
Ok, pues como dijiste, el estrés, como tú lo dijiste, es muy abrumador a veces manejar tanta información, lo cual te bloquea. Es obviamente tener un control sobre tus emociones, tus sentimientos, para que no te ocurra fácilmente. O sea, va a llegar un punto en el que lo hagas, porque eres humano, te puedes llegar a un punto de quiebre, pero pues aquí es obviamente tener ese control y saberlo, saber cuándo tomar un descanso, porque no todos pueden trabajar todo el tiempo. Obviamente también dar, como dijimos, trabajo en equipo, hacer cambios o hacerlo por turnos.
Okay, I see. Yeah, because I mean, I haven't really heard much of accidents occurring from the fault of air traffic controllers. Like, I think I'm sure there are, right? Like, and I'm now that I'm thinking of, I've a couple of coming to my mind, right? But usually when I hear of an accident happening, it's because of pilot error, right? And I imagine it's for similar sorts of reasons as the pilots, right? Because they kind of work in a similar environment. And now, okay, sort of, a topic has kind of remained in my mind since we've been speaking about this, because like I like the name, the Swiss cheese model, right? what actually is this, right? Because like I have heard of it in other sectors, right? How it explains safety, right? How this industry keeps people safe when they're flying. How does it explain the sorts of layers of redundancy that goes into safety in this industry?
Pues el modelo de Keros Dixon, como dijimos, tiene capas. Que esas capas son el diseño, los procedimientos, el mantenimiento y la supervisión. Que cada capa de defensa obviamente puede tener fallas, pero si se alinean simultáneamente hacen que los accidentes se reduzcan en un gran porcentaje.
Okay, so I assume that's where the name comes from, right? It's like a bunch of holes in layers. It's like Swiss cheese. Okay, fair. Now, these sorts of holes, right? I'm sure they're caused by many different things. And again, nothing's perfect, right? So I'm sure that there are going to be some in every layer, right? But like, what are some other sorts of pressures? Especially like I've heard that in a lot of places where maintenance and engineers work for this industry, it's kind of tough, like as in there's a lot of pressure being put on them by management or by the organization themselves, right? What kinds of pressures from these organizations, how can this lead to shortcuts being made and by extension these holes being created?
Ok, pues aquí lo que podría reducirlo sería plazos ajustados, obviamente bajar la demanda de productividad y obviamente la presión, mantenerla a lo mínimo para que no todo tu equipo se esté estresado y pues hagan accidentes o causen errores. Y sería como ¿cómo se fue la palabra? Como compartirlo.
Yeah, okay, I get you. Now, obviously, we're all human, right? We all get tired, we all get sick of things. But I'm sure because of the different sorts of places we work in, like I'm sure the effect of a pilot being pushed to the limits is different to somebody else in the industry, like because they do different things, right? How does these sorts of stresses affect, I don't know, like a maintenance technician, right? Like how does it manifest? How does an error from a maintenance technician manifest? How is that visible?
Ok, pues primero a los de mantenimiento, la fatiga puede disminuir su precisión y aumentar los errores técnicos que tenga la aeronave. Después a los pilotos y a los controladores del tráfico aéreo los afecta principalmente en la toma de decisiones y la vigilancia que deben de tener para todo el control de la información.
Okay. Seeing, snooping around, logging resources, is that a lot of the documents that I see when it comes to aircraft, when it comes to manuals, for all sorts of things, because I'm curious about this sort of stuff, right? And when I've looked at, I don't know, the sort of guidelines that are set out by the industry, not only are the documents old, like as in a lot of them are physical, and I mean, come on, dude, I'm not gonna go out there to dig around in a warehouse to try find a document, right? But if you can find them, whether it's online or there, they are real hard to comprehend, right? Like they are stuffed full of information, and they are genuinely a pain on the eyes, right? How does this sort of complexity in these documents, how does that sort of contribute to errors performed by some of these staff?
Ok, pues sí, obviamente hay documentos que son viejos y lo cual se maneja diferente. Se va avanzando cómo se van manejando y esto puede provocar interpretaciones incorrectas de procedimientos, omitir pasos que son críticos o una ejecución inadecuada en las tareas técnicas.
Okay, I see. Now, a sort of another aspect of this industry, or maybe even just part of the plane that we haven't mentioned, is the crew, right? As in the people, the flight attendants, right? Because I'm sure they are also stressed, and they also have very important roles to do, because ultimately we all or everyone in this industry forms the several layers in the model that we were just speaking about, right? What kind of skills, human factor skills, are important for the crew cabin in times of emergencies?
Ok, pues las habilidades que son cruciales que deben tener es el liderazgo, la comunicación clara, la gestión de su estrés, el trabajo en equipo y la capacidad para tomar decisiones rápidas, lo cual nos lleva a un ejemplo que durante un accidente deben de hacerlo en 90 segundos, menos de 90 segundos. O sea, eso es rápido, conciso y obviamente mantener claro lo que debes hacer, porque obviamente si no sabes trabajar bajo presión, en un accidente obviamente vas a tardar mucho tiempo y morir.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if you've been on planes much, like isn't an actual aircraft, but I used to travel around a lot. I mean, I got here on something, right? And so I remember being on this aircraft, right? And like, you don't kind of notice it the millionth time, but the sort of like show and dance that the crew makes to show, like, it quite literally looks like a show and a dance, because they make all the hand motions, right? Signaling the sort of brochures in the front seat to teach you what to do in the event of an emergency, signaling the emergency exits, the lights on the floor. I'd imagine that communicating this in the way they do, it's been formulated for years and years and years to improve survival rates during these sorts of crises. So I get where you're coming from, but I mean, ultimately, all this sort of technologies, automation, I feel, in my personal opinion, that this technology is a huge benefit, a huge boon to this industry, because it makes things, even though it does have its errors, it does streamline a lot of other processes that I'm sure would have been, painful or arduous to have done in the past. So I want to ask you, what do you think of this sort of technology? Like how has it affected this industry for good or bad? What do you think?
Ok, pues aquí, ¿cómo afecta? Ya lo dijimos, es que hace que las personas se pueden llegar a confiar o se hagan flojas, lo que es una gran desventaja de esto. Uh-huh. Pero como tú lo dijiste, una ventaja es que todo se automatiza, es mucho más rápido y eficaz, obviamente con la supervisión, uh-huh. Y reduce muchos tiempos, ahorra mucho dinero y pues es cómo avanza la tecnología y cómo nos vamos desarrollando poco a poco en esta industria que va creciendo rápidamente.
Ay. Bueno, that's all the questions I had for you today. Thank you very much for answering all of them in such a neat and concise manner. I don't know if you have anything else to add. I personally, that's what I had to say. That I'm very excited to see what sorts of new technologies are going to await in the future, because this sort of industry is very cutting edge, right? Like all the stuff that is looked at here is very new, very novel, right? And so I'm excited to see what the future has in store for us.
Ok, pues algo nada más rápido para agregar es lo del futuro, que sería la inteligencia artificial, que obviamente en un futuro ya no se va a ser pilotado por humanos, sino ya por una inteligencia, y esto va a facilitar mucho los trabajos, aunque todavía falta que se pruebe.
So what's in store for us later on, and I'm sure if we do get into this industry, it's later in the future that's going to be our problems to deal with, the issues that come with AI, but also I'm sure there's a lot of positives that come with this sorts of change in technology. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what the future has in store for us and for the sector in general.